everybody, and welcome to the Curt Mallory Show, presented by Dorsa Automotive. Coach Mallory joins me. I'm Luke Martin. And, Coach, last week against Eastern Illinois, you knew it was going to be a battle. You told us all week long and even all through fall camp and leaned to that game, and it was a 22-20 ball game. What was the biggest learning curve or the biggest message you thought that you took away about your team last week?
Well, we got to finish. You know, we had our opportunities, but the thing I really was impressed with our football team is we stuck together and kept battling.
You mentioned sticking together, keep battling, persevering. A big part of that was the week of preparation. What was it about that week of preparation that you really felt your team really kind of dotted your I's and crossed your T's?
You know, I thought they were playing faster. You know, they're playing with confidence, the communication was high, and the execution was really well. I thought they prepared well. Coming into the game, I was really impressed. We got to come in each week and prepare the way we did for Eastern Illinois.
Offensively, seeing Lamont back, 154 yards on the ground, but a big assist to everybody from the offensive line, such as a Matt Byrne, to even the receiving core. What was it about the offensive unit last week that allowed to have so much success on the ground?
Well, our offense is bought in that we're going to run the football, and we've got some good running backs, and obviously we got some guys up front that can block. And it took 11 guys, and it was a great offensive team effort, and they did a good job running football.
Looking back on the defensive side, 5 sacks generated by your ball club. That's the most out of any FCS team on the opening weekend. How was that success able to manifest itself against Eastern Illinois?
Well, you know, we're attacking defense. They were playing fast out there, and we wanted to go into the game where we affected the quarterback. And we did that. We did that on the very first play of the game, did it throughout.
Being able to finish, you mentioned that in your first answer to me. How big a part of that Eastern Illinois game was just trying to finish? And this was a team last year that had 7 consecutive weeks of a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. So it's been a theme for these guys, even though you weren't here a year ago. What is the biggest learning curve that you really teach these guys and trying to get them to comprehend of how you really teach a team to finish?
You know, we do. We practice that every day. There's so much learning that can happen in the last 2 minutes of a game, the last 2 minutes of a half. And we always talk about 4 big phases, and obviously your blitz attitude. And that goes both ways because you're going to get blitzing in 2 minutes and how you come after the quarterback and how you protect the quarterback. And then the other phase is when you're in the red zone and when you got to be able to score a touchdown to win the game or a field goal. And how you play red zone defense or a red zone offense, what have you. And then third down. And we had opportunities to get off the field on 3rd and 4th down against Eastern Illinois and weren't able to do that. And then obviously offensively being able to move the chains to score.
We've reached our first break in the show. When we come back, we'll preview the Tennessee Volunteers on Saturday in Knoxville.
Check out all the options you have at Dorset Ford. Whether it's F-150, America's best-selling truck, or an SUV, we've got you covered on all the Fords. So come on in for sales and service and see how we're building loyalty through excellence at Dorset Ford in beautiful Marshall. Or check us out at dorsetford.com.
Welcome back to the Curt Mallory Show, presented by Dorsa Automotive. Coach, let's talk about the Tennessee Volunteers. It's an extremely short week for them, playing on Monday night. Let's just say that game did not lack any dramatics on Monday. What did you take away from Tennessee's win over Georgia Tech?
Well, you know, I've watched Butch Jones's football teams for quite some time. I've known Butch for a long time. We're close friends. And it's no different than any team that Butch coaches. They're a close-knit group. They're going to stick together, and they're going to fight to the very end, and that's what I saw.
Talking to Coach Jeff Eklinski, he said there were a lot of guys on this Tennessee team that you guys were recruiting when you were at Michigan. One of them being John Kelly, the running back. My goodness, he's a load. 4 touchdowns. I believe the first volunteer player to have 4 touchdowns in a single game since 1994 for them. How does he really set their tone? I know there was so much attention at the quarterback spot and who would get that nod. How big of a load on that offense does John Kelly carry?
Well, you know, he's their emotional leader. You know, when you see him out there, just the energy he brings, not only to the offense but the football team. He's obviously a great football player, but you can just see it carries over. There's much more to it. His leadership skills and the way that team follows him.
And Quentin Dormady, who ended up getting the start, one of the things talking to volunteer folks all week long, he says, you just look at him, he looks like a professional quarterback. And even though he necessarily hasn't had a ton of starts under his belt, he has that game experience, which you always tell me you can't put a price tag on experience. Did you see that on Monday night where that experience really helped him specifically in that second half and overtime?
You know, he made some throws, and the throws were right there. And And just like in any game, it takes everybody. But he's got a strong arm. He's got great poise, and he's comfortable back there, as you know. And he was making throws all night.
Defensively for Tennessee, able to create 2 turnovers, which ultimately got them back in that ball game and probably won them that football game. What about their defense makes them capitalize on those turnovers and being able to force them?
Well, they got great speed, and they're active up front. It's not a surprise that you're seeing the activity up front. I know the coaches that have coached the D-line for them. Coach Steve Stripling had been the defensive line coach in the past, and he's one of the best around. Now it's Brady Hoke, and so you can see those guys are well coached and play hard.
You say well coached, play hard. Folks will look at, well, Georgia Tech was able to rack up over 500 yards on the ground. A big testament to that is Georgia Tech's pretty darn good on how they run their triple option. But what about what Georgia Tech was able to do makes you optimistic, makes the staff optimistic about what possibly you could do, not just on the ground, but from an offensive standpoint?
Well, Georgia Tech, you take the Air Force Academy and the Armies. I mean, you might as well just sometimes take that game and put it aside because it can get like that. I've been on that side a lot of times. That offense gets rolling, man. It is hard to stop, and that's what they do. And they find a crease here, a crease there. They can make it happen. And they're going to keep coming back to it until you stop it. And but sometimes it's best just to put that one aside and move on to the next game. And but obviously Georgia Tech is going to run the football not only against Tennessee but everyone they play.
What's going to be the message to your team when you meet in that locker room and before you take the field at Neyland Stadium?
Yeah, that we get better, that we come off the field, that we feel like we're a better football team. And that's been the message all week. Let's get better as a football team, and let's just see how it ends up.
Coach, we appreciate the time and look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, thank you.
Once again, that was head coach Curt Mallory. For more on the Indiana State-Tennessee matchup, be sure to stay logged on to GoSycamores.com. For the coach Curt Mallory, I'm Luke Martin, and everybody with Indiana State football, you've been watching The Curt Mallory Show, presented by Dorsa Automotive.